Well, good morning, and good morning to you too, Mr. Robin. Please don't peck my camera. Not much light about. I think it's going to be quite dark in the forest, but as you can see, not a bad place to have a morning cuppa. So I'm going to head down to Foley's Bridge again. As I say, there's not much light. In fact, there's even less light than yesterday. I was hoping that we would get a little bit of a break in the clouds, but just nothing. And the cloud cover is supposed to get worse as the day goes on, so I think today is going to be more about recce shots than anything else. But first up, it's coffee with my good friend Robin. Does that make me Batman? So I'm going to fess up, because this happens quite a lot. I had a composition in mind, and I will return to that composition in a moment. And after I had, got the composition within a, what I like to call the 80% rule off the tripod, I then move it onto the tripod to fine tune it. And as I moved it onto the tripod, another composition caught my eye. Does that happen to you? A composition that I walked by this big gnarly tree yesterday, and I thought, that's maybe got potential, but didn't think anything else of it. And the second composition that I'm going for was looking more down. There's a little rapids, little small waterfall down there. However, the composition that I kind of caught my eye as I was placing the camera onto the tripod actually takes in the big gnarly tree. Now, I haven't quite got it how I want it. To be able to fit in, the sky's completely blown out, so again, avoiding putting in any of the sky. However, there's some really lovely gnarly kind of shapes on that tree, so I'm kind of trying to keep as much of that tree in as possible. I actually quite like it with a little bit of movement in the water as well, so full portrait length. However, it is including some of the more greener foliage, and I'm not quite sure that's what I want in the actual image. But yeah, compositions just kind of spring out as you're putting the camera onto the tripod. I think I mentioned in a previous video, it may have even been yesterday, about making sure if you're using a zoom lens, that when you're fine-tuning or even looking for compositions, that you use the full range of the zoom. You'll be amazed how many times a new, perhaps better composition springs out when you zoom through the focal range. And I sometimes find that happens as well when I'm doing my checking for critical sharpness. So good practice to get into is when you're taking your shot, whether you're using manual focus or autofocus, that after you've taken your shot, you're checking for critical sharpness, especially if you think sharpness is going to be challenged, either because of the aperture you're using or the focal length you're using. And what I sometimes find when I'm kind of going in, zooming in and checking for critical sharpness, all of a sudden, because I'm looking at a very small piece of the overall frame, another composition jumps out. And that's kind of exactly what's happened here. So my original frame that I had the two of the little cascades and quite a lot of the autumn colours. And as I was zooming in around different parts, I came across a more detailed shot, less leaves and less of the waterfalls themselves. Now, I haven't started working on it yet, but I just thought I would share that little bit as well. That as well as checking for critical sharpness, you sometimes can come across a new composition. One last thing as well, at least from this bridge, staying out of the forest, because it is grey overcast days, at least there's a little bit of, okay, it's flat light, but at least there's a little bit of light coming down here. On a day like today, if I'm deep in the forest where that flat light's sort of difficult to penetrate. It may even make a bad job worse. And this doesn't look like it's clearing today at all, unfortunately, and I still miss my polarizer. So I've talked about this before, about trying in my own head to make some sense of the chaos of a forest. And to do that, I try and look for a story in the forest. So I was walking along the little logging path here, and I spotted this little beach. And what kind of struck me was the ferns that are kind of in below it. Story time, maybe? Maybe I'm pushing that one a little bit too far. So I've set up my camera, again 18 to 135mm, out at about 35mm, and I'm actually overlaying the square format again. I am shooting in RAW as well, so I will have the full frame to play with, but I just quite liked. Now the other thing that I've done is shooting with a narrower depth of field. I'm actually shooting this at f7.1. I want the focus to be on that tree. I don't necessarily want those ferns to be in focus, I just want the sort of notion of them, and I thought how I'm going to sort of process this as well. So focus directly on the tree, and I know that the ferns are not going to be in focus, they're just sort of nice and soft in the frame, but critical sharpness on that tree. So yeah, telling a story. I don't know. Does it work? I guess we'll find out. Okay, so in the previous image, I purposely wanted a shallower depth of field, whereas in this image, I actually would like sharpness, kind of front to back, but that's going to be challenging with the focal length that I've chosen. So I'm up at 70mm, still shooting in that square format, and what I'm kind of going for is, you can probably just pick out, just there, kind of stands out, so that's my kind of foreground interest in the frame, in that square format. And so what I've done is, I've kind of shot 3 frames, with the plan being to focus stack these when I get home. So I've kind of focused obviously on that fern, I've focused sort of a little bit further in, and then I've actually focused on this far tree in the distance. So kind of both looking at purposely having a shallower depth of field to create mood, but also knowing when you want that depth of field throughout, and of course when you're going to be challenged with depth of field because of your focal length. It's beautiful here because I just got that running water, little brook flowing behind me. This place would absolutely rock with a bit of mist. Beautiful. Okay, I admit it. It's a rather beautiful spot. So back at Foley's Bridge, up high, typically you'll see the shots from this area down below, which is very nice, albeit with some unnaturally autumnal foliage placement. That's a thing, you know. Anyway, so I've come up high. No polarizer's really hurting me here because there are areas of kind of sheen on top of that water that I just can't get rid of. So, not ideal at all. Lovely place. It's actually a nice place to just sit and chill out. We stone seat here. Just beautiful. We had a little smidge of light just as I was making my way back down again, but I think that's all but disappeared again. But it's a very nice location, so I take it all back. Beautiful. So this is one situation where I would love to see this scene using the Fujifilm GFX at medium format beast. So again, I'm still at Foley's Bridge, but I've gone back to a little bit more intimate detail shots. So see this big gnarly tree. He says, why does it always do that? So basically, just that there's a couple of things I really like about the frame. One, the obvious gnarly tree you go through. I really love this trunk as well, which is just lurking in the background. But yeah, I would love, I mean, this old Fujifilm Bad Boy X-T2. It's a 24 megapixel, and I'm sure the file is going to look stunning. But my god, I would love to see this on the GFX. I can hear my credit card and my wife screaming right now. So I think that's me done for the day, and in fact done for my little trip down here to Tollymore and the Mournes. The clouds really have rolled in now, and there's just no light, and with it supposedly clouding up even more and even a slight chance of rain, I'm going to cut my losses and start to head back up north. It's about a 2.5 hour sort of slow bimble back up. Beautiful place though, and I'm going to make a point of making sure that I come back here countless times over the next year really. Not just from a photographic point of view, but to walk, to cycle, to run, to camp. It's just a beautiful area, absolutely stunning. So yeah, so as I say, I hope you've enjoyed these 2 episodes down in the Mournes, down in Tollymore. And I guess we'll catch up next time. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.